The emu, Dromaius novaehollandiae, is the second largest living bird by height, after its ratite relative, the ostrich. It is endemic to Australia, where it is the largest native bird and the only extant member of the genus Dromaius. The emu's range covers most of mainland Australia, but the Tasmanian, Kangaroo Island and King Island subspecies became extinct after the European settlement of Australia in 1788. The bird is sufficiently common for it to be rated as a least concern species by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Emus are soft-feathered, brown, flightless birds with long necks and legs, and can reach up to 1.9 meters in height. Emus can travel great distances, and when necessary can sprint at 50 kilometers per hour. They forage for a variety of plants and insects, but have been known to go for weeks without eating. They drink infrequently, but take in copious amounts of water when the opportunity arises. Breeding takes place in May and June, and fighting among females for a mate is common. Females can mate several times and lay several clutches of eggs in one season. The male does the incubation. During this process he hardly eats or drinks and loses a significant amount of weight. The eggs hatch after around 8 weeks, and the young are nurtured by their fathers. They reach full size after around 6 months, but can remain as a family unit until the next breeding season. The emu is an important cultural icon of Australia, appearing on the coat of arms and various coins. The bird features prominently in Indigenous Australian mythology. Description: the emu is the second tallest bird in the world, only being exceeded in height by the ostrich. The largest individuals can reach up to 150 to 190 centimeters in height. Measured from the bill to the tail, emus range in length from 139 to 164 centimeters, with males averaging 148.5 centimeters and females averaging 156.8 centimeters. Emus are the fourth or fifth heaviest living bird after the 2 species of ostrich and 2 larger species of cassowary, weighing slightly more on average than an emperor penguin. Adult emus weigh between 18 and 60 kilograms, with an average of 31.5 and 37 kilograms in males and females, respectively. Females are usually slightly larger than males and are substantially wider across the rump. Although flightless, emus have vestigial wings, the wing chord measuring around 20 centimeters, and each wing having a small claw at the tip. Emus flap their wings when running, perhaps as a means of stabilizing themselves when moving fast. They have long necks and legs, and can run at speeds of 48 km per hour due to their highly specialized pelvic limb musculature. Their feet have only 3 toes and a similarly reduced number of bones and associated foot muscles. Emus are unique among birds in that their gastrocnemius muscles in the back of the lower legs have 4 bellies instead of the usual 3. The pelvic limb muscles of emus contribute a similar proportion of the total body mass as do the flight muscles of flying birds. When walking, the emu takes strides of about 100 centimeters, but at full gallop, a stride can be as long as 275 centimeters. Its legs are devoid of feathers and underneath its feet are thick, cushioned pads. Like the cassowary, the emu has sharp claws on its toes which are its major defensive attribute, and are used in combat to inflict wounds on opponents by kicking. The toe and claw total 15 centimeters in length. The bill is quite small, measuring 5.6 to 6.7 centimeters, and is soft, being adapted for grazing. Emus have good eyesight and hearing, which allows them to detect threats at some distance. The neck of the emu is pale blue and shows through its sparse feathers. They have grey-brown plumage of shaggy appearance. The shafts and the tips of the feathers are black. Solar radiation is absorbed by the tips, and the inner plumage insulates the skin. This prevents the birds from overheating, allowing them to be active during the heat of the day. A unique feature of the emu feather is the double rachis emerging from a single shaft. Both of the rachis have the same length, and the texture is variable. The area near the skin is rather furry, but the more distant ends resemble grass. The plumage varies in color due to environmental factors, giving the bird a natural camouflage. Feathers of emus in more arid areas with red soils have a rufous tint, while birds residing in damp conditions are generally darker in hue. The juvenile plumage develops at about 3 months and is blackish finely barred with brown, with the head and neck being especially dark. The facial feathers gradually thin to expose the bluish skin. The adult plumage has developed by about 15 months. The eyes of an emu are protected by nictitating membranes. These are translucent, secondary eyelids that move horizontally from the inside edge of the eye to the outside edge. They function as visors to protect the eyes from the dust that is prevalent in windy arid regions. Emus have a tracheal pouch, which becomes more prominent during the mating season. At more than 30 centimeters in length, it is quite spacious. It has a thin wall, and an opening 8 centimeters long. Behavior and ecology. Emus are diurnal birds and spend their day foraging, preening their plumage with their beak, dust bathing and resting. They are generally gregarious birds apart from the breeding season, and while some forage, others remain vigilant to their mutual benefit. They are able to swim when necessary, although they rarely do so unless the area is flooded or they need to cross a river. Emus begin to settle down at sunset and sleep during the night. They do not sleep continuously but rouse themselves several times during the night. When falling asleep, emus first squat on their tarsi and enter a drowsy state during which they are alert enough to react to stimuli and quickly return to a fully awakened state if disturbed. As they fall into deeper sleep, their neck droops closer to the body and the eyelids begin to close. If there are no disturbances, they fall into a deeper sleep after about 20 minutes. During this phase, the body is gradually lowered until it is touching the ground with the legs folded underneath. The beak is turned down so that the whole neck becomes S-shaped and folded onto itself. The feathers direct any rain downwards onto the ground. It has been suggested that the sleeping position is a type of camouflage, mimicking a small mound. Emus typically awake from deep sleep once every 90 minutes or so and stand upright to feed briefly or defecate. This period of wakefulness lasts for 10 to 20 minutes, after which they return to slumber. Overall, an emu sleeps for around 7 hours in each 24-hour period. Young emus usually sleep with their neck flat and stretched forward along the ground surface. Predation. There are few native natural predators of emus still extant. Early in its species history, it may have by attacking the head. The emu typically tries to repel the dingo by jumping into the air and kicking or stamping the dingo on its way down. The emu jumps as the dingo barely has the capacity to jump high enough to threaten its neck, so a correctly timed leap to coincide with the dingo's lunge can keep its head and neck out of danger. Despite the potential prey-predator relationship, the presence of predaceous dingoes does not appear to heavily influence emu numbers, with other natural conditions just as likely to cause mortality. Wedge-tailed eagles are the only avian predator capable of attacking fully grown emus, though are perhaps most likely to take small or young specimens. The eagles attack emus by swooping downwards rapidly and at high speed and aiming for the head and neck. In this case, the emu's jumping technique as employed against the dingo is not useful. The birds try to target the emu in open ground so that it cannot hide behind obstacles. Under such circumstances, the emu can only run in a chaotic manner and change directions frequently to try to evade its attacker. Other raptors, monitor lizards, introduced red foxes, feral and domestic dogs, and feral pigs occasionally feed on emu eggs or kill small chicks. Thanks for watching.